the issue here is like we're going to talk about visualizing your research team now. I've spoken to a couple of people at the front whose research team is actually quite small, i.e. it consists of them individually. So we'll figure out a way of like working through these issues, and that's an issue in itself, working on your own. So we're gonna work through some of these things, and in some respects it's kind of like a sort of big group therapy session, really, to sort of, you know, although we're going to try and steer away this time from like, which I did last time. So I was like, when we presented this in Loughborough, I was really down on my team. It was really quite terrible, and like it was the end of the world, you know, all that kind of stuff. But this time, my team, you know, we're back together. Like, it's all fine, and we'll talk about that, and like sort of, and we're hopefully trying to emphasise ways that the digital can help you collaborate rather than fall apart. So that's the emphasis of what we're doing now. So we're looking at sort of like issues of team structure and hierarchies, and how you sort of process them and understand them. We're thinking about the relationships you have during your research process with other people. We're thinking about your role in the research, if it's a project or whatever it happens to be. And we're also thinking about the role of other people and how that relates to you and your work. Okay, so we're trying to cover those kind of things. And so we're going to talk about some of the problems, but we're also hopefully going to come up with some of the solutions and to help you with that. So firstly, you're going to do a task that's going to start looking at your team. So this is just me, like I was just sitting at home, here's my team, so I'm going to talk you through my team. This is the good spin on it, right? So that's a blank sheet of paper. My team, the research project that I'm on, oh, that's me getting my pens ready, is a two-sided project. Like, I'm based in Loughborough, that's where we're doing the analysis of the video data that we have, but like there's a clinical team that's based in Sheffield, and so they're doing all of the data collection and all of the consent and all of that kind of stuff. Okay, so of course you think, well, Chris, where are you? I haven't even put myself on the map yet. Like, you see, like, I'm not self-involved. This is the team, right? So here's my boss, PD, that's based in Loughborough, and then on the right is MR, who's based in Sheffield. Here's the head of the clinical team. Okay, so it carries on. I finally put myself on here, you see. I even have DJ. I am the new DJ. That's how everyone refers to me, which is really nice. She left the project I joined. You know, you see how you see how this is going, right? Okay. So it carries on, and then the team builds up. And the clinical team, there's like 3 clinicians, and then there's the researcher based in Sheffield as well. It carries on, and then I start putting that staff in. So the research staff are me and the SW, and then the clinicians are built in over there. And then it carries on. I don't know what happened there. And then you start going, oh, what happens? So I'm sort of directly involved with DB that's in Sheffield, who's doing all of the data collection, managing. He's getting all the transcripts done, and we sort of correspond to get the video, for me to get hold of the videos, because I live in Manchester, which is just an added feature that I haven't quite put on the map, you know, like, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, and then here's the sort of the line manager stuff. Like, I'm directly under PD, and he sort of corresponds with MR. Oh, all right. Hello. Yeah, so that's kind of how it goes. And but that's and the mess that came about at the beginning of December is all to do with writing a paper. We've got like at least 8 authors on a paper, and you think, wow, this is crazy. 8 people that really, really want to be involved in writing a publication. Brilliant. So that was what the problem was, but it's all resolved. The paper's in, it's sorted. But anyway, it's complex. You think, well, you got to manage that. And like for me, when we're talking about this, is about us here. How does that result? What's the result for us? How does that impact upon us? And the thing is, what we're getting to is you have to think about how do you manage that? How do you sort that out? How do you do that collaboration? Now. Oh, that's fine. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is like how do you communicate? Okay, so you see this is the team. How do you communicate? As I said, I live in Manchester. Another guy lives in York, which is PD. Although we're based at Loughborough, it's all very confusing in that respect. But like you kind of, so the thing about my team is that we don't meet face to face. Maybe once every 4 months, and then meetings are cancelled, so once every 6 months, or whatever, all of these kinds of things. So it causes a lot of difficulty. So like, although you've got your face-to-face meeting here, a lot of our stuff is still done by email, because the problem is not everyone's quite up to speed with other forms of communication. And then me and PD, we don't really meet very often in person, but we discuss the analysis via Skype mostly. That's how we work. So that's our communication in the team, pretty much. Okay, and then the next level is like, how do we collaborate? Wait, 1 second. Okay. So the next slide is how we collaborate. Like, collaboration has many opportunities. You've got like 8 great minds all together sharing ideas, and that's brilliant. That's going to be a great paper, isn't it? But you realise everyone wants to share their ideas, and everyone wants their input, and everyone goes, if you don't have my input, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. And that's the problem of having the digital opens up many ways of collaborating, but also it allows people to get involved. But the point I'm emphasising here is it can be really good. It can be very helpful. The problem with old-fashioned just sending emails with Word documents to everyone, say this is the Word document, type, put your input, is that people don't use the right versions. Or you send a new version, but they don't read that one, they use the old one, and then they email it to you at the same time as someone else has emailed you, all of this kind of thing. You're like, and also like, there's this point that every email I ever send around this team, I go, if you are working on this document, send an email to everyone saying, do not do anything on this document, I am doing something. Never happens. Ever. Never happens. So, that's the problem of doing it the old-fashioned way that only everyone else understands. Okay, so some things that we have tried to use, and like I have used with other teams that I've worked on before, is things like Dropbox, where you can, and we'll probably get into that a bit later, like what that can do for you, but like basically everyone can have access to all of the latest documents, and it's all there and it gets updated at the same time. You can see that. Or Google Docs, where like multiple people can work on things at the same time. You can even see what they're doing in front of your eyes if you happen to be doing that. So that's really great in terms of collaborating and sharing and working on things at the same time, so you don't get this the big irritation of, you know, multiple versions and all of that stuff. Okay. So my team's quite prehistoric, really, relatively speaking, and that's what we do. Now, what are you going to do? Yeah? What you're going to do is do your best to try and visualise your team, i.e. either on your current project, a previous project that you've worked on, a future project that you've just started on, that kind of stuff, as you've done before. And what we want you to do is try and visualise your team, the structure, how it interacts, how it relates to one another, and all that kind of stuff. And in that sort of process, and it doesn't have to be just a boring diagram. You could draw pictures if you could of your boss if you're into that kind of thing, or not, or yourself, like if you want to play it safe. So we want you to sort of figure out what communication methods do you use. Maybe it's still like text and all sorts of great things like that. And also we want to figure out how do you collaborate, whether it's in this case as I'm talking like writing a paper, but it can also be just doing analysis. How do you do that together as a sort of as a team or as an individual? So that's what we're going to do. You're going to do that, and we're going to talk about, and then in your groups you're going to share your diagrams, and then going to talk about challenges you have, and also some of the maybe solutions that you found, whether these things or other kinds of solutions that you found. Now, if you're struggling with like who's in my team and it's just you, then you need to start thinking about whether it's a supervisor or a line manager or other, like whether it's like we talked at the front, maybe publishers putting pressure on you. There are people that have influence over your research, like if you want to get it published or that kind of stuff. It may even be just like, how do you relate to your research participants? How do you manage that? Because that's sort of part of this kind of, in some ways they are part of your research, in important ways they're part of your research. Okay, so you have, in total. Okay, so you got about,
20.
Sorry?
I have 20.
Okay, you got about 10 minutes to draw it or figure it out. And then you have roughly 5-10 minutes to discuss and sort of share notes. Okay.